For me, that's
Yes,
silly.
excellent, good. Um, does our participant online can they contribute? They have a way of typing in?
If someone over there and so would like to say what resilience, something that they know about resilience, we are also open to hear about it.
Yeah, anytime. So even if it takes a minute, it's
Yeah.
okay. It's okay. Anytime, yeah. Okay, good. Yes. So this idea that it's a process, part of it is a way that we think about things, right? That's what I've heard you say. So we often think of strong people as the superheroes, right? They're strong, they're Wonder Woman is fighting battles and fighting crime. So I think you both said what I believe and the research believes is that it's not about being strong, it's about experiencing something, going through something, learning, and then coming out differently and stronger on the other side. So that's what's exciting about this is is that it is a process and it's an outcome. So it's not something you have to be born with. It's not something that it's a personal characteristic. You are resilient and I'm not resilient. Any of us can be resilient if we know how to manage these things. So, and it's important because the bad things won't stop happening. This is life. And so even those people who you look and you say, wow, this person is so strong, bad things still happen to them. But they have developed resilience by using resources, which is what we're going to talk about today. So it's not about, again, it's not necessarily a personal trait. It's about, okay, here are the things I can use, the tools I can use. So just like teaching, we have tools, right? Lots of tools here today. So it's about using these tools to develop. Okay, make sense? Christian heard this yesterday, so maybe boring, maybe boring. Um, so yeah, so good. I think we all agree that what resilience is. So what resilience is not, it's just as important to think about, I think. So it's not avoidance. So sometimes it's very easy, it's very easy to avoid problems. And people do it because it works. It works in the short term, right? It works right now. So I don't want to think about this. I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to process this right now. Yes. Yeah, okay. Yes.
But eventually it will become like bigger and stronger.
Yes.
Blew up. I don't know.
Absolutely. Yes. Good. Yeah, no, I can tell. I can tell. That's great. But that's the thing. So in psychology, so my background is psychology, it's negative reinforcement is what's happening. So negative meaning you're taking something away. So if I avoid it, I feel good right now. Right now I do. But then it builds and it builds and the problem doesn't go away and you don't get stronger. And then like you say, it blows up. It can lead to burnout. And then the other side, so it's not avoidance. Many people use that as a tool, but it long term it's not healthy. And then this term toxic positivity, are you familiar with that term? This term in English? It is, yes. Right. That's it, yeah. So it's positive. So positive thinking is good. We can all agree on that. But not everything is positive, right? So it's similar to avoidance, but it's just an over generalization of positivity when it's not realistic. Some things are bad. Some things are very bad. If you experience loss, if there's death, if there's illness, if there's big changes in your life, sometimes it's very bad. And so in order to become that more resilient person, we need to experience those emotions. We need to process those emotions. We need to, if you need to cry, you need to cry. If you need to be sad because something very sad has happened, then you need to process that. And then on the other end, it's like any experience. You come out stronger and you can understand the issue better, which then leads to more resilience. Does that make sense? Is it good? Yeah. Does this idea of if you're too positive, you're creating this unreal situation.
It's the character.
Yeah.
Like your soul or your inside or whatever. it
Oh,
is.
yes, yes, yeah.
Tired of pretending and eventually you'll be worse. Even if you're eventually
Yes, exactly.
So like something is gonna blow up and it's gonna show.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And it could, yeah, sometimes there's a detachment too. And we probably know people like this or have met people. So maybe they'll have one face, so they'll have a face and it's very positive and but then as soon as they go home, it's not so good, right? It's a different. So you detach and you detach from reality and you detach, which isn't, again, you're not developing skills. So so it's just like, and so again, if you think of resilience as using resources and building skills, it's much like teaching, like you can, it's easier at year 5 than week 1 when you're teaching because you go in and, you learn every time. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not so good. And so each time, but then you process it and then you move on to the next thing. You couldn't become a good teacher if you avoided those difficult moments. You couldn't become a good teacher if you didn't analyze yourself. Maybe a class didn't go so well. If you didn't stop and say, okay, what was it? Was it me? Was it the day? Was it the students? What was it? So again, toxic positivity, if you said, oh, that was great, that was wonderful. Well, maybe it wasn't. So you're not going to learn. So I want you to think about something for a second. So think about, and so for online people as well. So think about this. Think about what is your best day ever? And maybe it's never happened, or maybe it was a day in your past. So what if you could have the perfect day? Okay? With me so far? You're okay? So think about that. What is your perfect day? So think about where are you? Who's there? Who else is there? What are you doing? And what are you? So think about that for a second. And then we'll talk about that for a second. So the best day ever. Again, maybe it happened, maybe it will happen in the future. What do you think? Share whatever you wish to share. Maybe where are you? That's an easy one. Yes. Oh, good. Well, we're a small.
Not where I am.
Okay.
It's also okay.
Yes. Good.
My best day ever is to be a kid.
Okay, good.
That's something that I value a lot.
Okay,
Like,
good.
not fighting, I don't like fighting.
Yes, yes.
There might be problems or situations, not problems, but situations, but not having like, yeah, fighting.
Sure.
I'm at peace.
Yes.
Who else is there? Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Enjoy being my
Okay. Okay.
but I love to come with my family. So
Okay. Good.
what am I doing? anything. I
Doesn't
enjoy
matter.
it. Like watching the series or the beach, I love
Mhm.
it. Or working and
Sorry.
what am I thinking? To be the best day, what should I think? That my family is healthy and I'm healthy.
Hmm.
I think that's
Okay,
those
good.
are the good days. When
Yes.
I close the day and I think, okay, this was a perfect day because I'm healthy. I had a good day with my students, and I'm here. I'm at peace.
Hmm. Good. So it's more about feelings and who's there as opposed to what you're doing or where you are.
It could be Miami, Miami Beach, but you are not at beach.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
At beach.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah, of course. Yes. 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 Yes.
So I think it's more about the feeling and your attitude and being grateful
Yes. Good. Yeah.
because every day there's something. For example, I have legs,
Hmm. Absolutely. Yeah.
so I think I have a lot of perfect days.
Good. Excellent. Good. Excellent. Good. Thank you. Thank you. Christian, you want to did you want to share maybe what you were thinking?
That's okay. Yeah, for me, luckily I have had this day, but I wanna relive it. Um, it is a rainy day in Seattle in a coffee shop
Oh,
called
wow.
Chocolate Factory.
Hmm.
And Seattle is very well known because it's a rainy season. Many people do not like that. However, I love it so much. So that's what I would be.
Hmm.
That shop, rainy day, reading, a book, probably a thriller book. I really love reading, especially if it comes to readers, anthology, stuff like that. And I would most likely be with my partner, my friends there. It's something that we used to do there. Love it. We are feeling very excited. We're feeling very close to each other. So we're feeling very happy.
Excellent.
And what am I thinking at the same moment? I'm thinking how grateful I am because I have these significant others, because I'm healthy, because I'm right here. I'm very excited for what the future holds.
Oh, good. Oh, nice. Excellent.
That description made me it transported me.
The rainy day in the coffee shop. Yeah, yeah. Very nice. Did you want to share? You can if you wish, or. Oh, good. Yeah.
Yes, I remember at the moment, prayer for the students. Do you know the prayer for the students?
No.
It's beautiful.
Oh, yes.
It's beautiful because it's, I am going to tell you, it is short.
Yes, yes, yes. We have time.
God of life and truth, thank you for giving me a mind that can know and a heart that can love. And let me to be aware of your presence all days and all, in all things and all days. And encourage me when work is difficult and I am tempted to give up. Encourage me when my brain seems slow and the day forward is difficult. Grant me the grace to put my mind to use, exploring the world you have created, confident that in you there's a wisdom that is real. When all days I think, and when before before sleeping, I think I am grateful because I have all my capacities.
Oh, good. Oh,
friend.
very good. Oh, good, good, good. Thank you.
So
And
perhaps, yeah,
yeah,
teacher and teacher further, you'd like to share this state for you. Maybe just think about it.
yeah. Anytime, just come in. It's okay. I can. Yeah, because this is it's an easy exercise. So yes, for the person online, just anytime you wish, we can come back to this. It's no problem. So this is an important exercise. And it's an easy one. And you can do it with your students too, if you want. I stole it from somebody, so you can steal it.
Not all days, not all times.
Right.
Feel and think.
Sure. Exactly. So that's why if you want to think about what would be what do you think would be that perfect day? And maybe it never happened. Maybe that's not real, maybe. But in your mind, what could be like that perfect day? And so the point of this exercise is just to think about what is important to us. So if a person says, my perfect day is I'm with my partner, I'm with my family, I'm alone, then you get a sense of, okay, what help makes this person stronger? What does this person value? If maybe the location, some people say, well, I'm traveling. I don't care where I am. I just want my backpack and I'm traveling the world. Okay, so that's important to this person. Somebody else says, I just want to be home with my partner and my dog, and I'm happy. It doesn't matter what's happening. So it gives you a sense of, okay, what do they value? And for you in doing it, so what do you value and what helps make you stronger? So when we talk about resources, identifying, so those are resources, right? So if you know that, okay, I feel good going to a coffee shop and just reading a book for a couple of hours. So then when we face those hard times, if we know what works for us, what helps make us stronger, and we intentionally do those things, then that's going to help build our resilience. Because as we know, life gets busy. And sometimes one day looks exactly the same as the next day. You work, you do this, then it's the same thing. And next thing you know, the week is gone by. So understanding these things and making time for those things, especially when those times when things are more stressful, then helps us be stronger, helps us get through. Does that make sense? So that's the point of that exercise, to see what do we value and what is important to us. So this is about this idea of resources, so about tools that we have at our disposal to use. So what my work is what part of what my work is based on is this. He's a professor from my city, from Halifax, Dr. Michael Ungar, who actually worked here about 20 years ago. Yes. And he was studying community resilience. So about 20 years ago, and so some communities that were in conflict and in development, he studied the communities in Medellin to see what was keeping people strong and resilient. So in the book where he identifies the 12 resources, he has a chapter talking about his work here, which I didn't know before I contacted Christian, which it's very good.
There have been not studies, but news about how we're all fighters,
Mhm.
people from
Oh, yes, yes.
how resilient we are
Mm-hmm.
because of drug
Mm-hmm.
problems and the economic
Yes.
it's not the best for a lot of people. But there has been news, and when they talk about how we can always not survive, but
Thrive or
overcome,
overcome, yeah.
all these
things that has happened to us because the city has gone through a lot.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's I said, and this is why people are coming to say, look, like what is, what are people doing? So again, it's about resources. So it's not that, again, people in Antioquia are born with a different, maybe a superhero gene, I don't know, but it's just that people are doing certain things that are helping to stay strong and overcome and thrive. So it's very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, now that you mentioned that, that biological factor just got to my mind. Because what Marta mentioned is very well known in our country. There is this feeling that Paisas are very resilient, that they do overcome difficulties, perhaps in a faster, more effective way to all those stadiums.
That you know, Rolo is from Bogotá.
Okay, yes. Yes. Okay.
So it just, I was just wondering if that it might be related to also some, biological.
There is, yes. Yes. And so there is evidence, there's evidence that some of it is biological, yes. So there's a lot of discussion around, the term intergenerational trauma. So if your grandparents suffered trauma, then, I mean, there's a social side to it too, but there's also a biological side that they can see it in your blood, that this is being passed down. There's a social side to it as well, but also the biological side, because there are markers in the blood that demonstrate it. But what isn't talked about as much as intergenerational strengths. So just as trauma can be passed down, strengths can be passed down as well. So yes, I would suggest that there would be, and so, but it's complicated, right? It's this, the expression nature versus nurture. Are you born that way, or it's because you're observing your parents and your grandparents dealing with things in a certain way, and therefore you deal with it in that same way? So, but there's certainly evidence, yes, that some of it is biological. But again, that's the big debate, right? But yeah, no, absolutely. So it could be from this region. That could be part of it as well. Absolutely. Yes.
My colleague says, Jean in 2016 won the prize of most resilient.
Yes, yeah, yes, it did.
Because of the electrical escalators.
Mhm.
Because the electrical escalators were used in other parts of the world, but not like public transportation. So it's important to take into account as a way to receive.
Yes, absolutely.
And also the you need the.
Yes, yeah, a few times. Yeah, we took some friends from Canada 2 days ago there. Yeah, so absolutely, but that's it, right? And it's about, so, but again, it's about, so this is what my project is about too. So I'm just gonna click forward. So it's about, what are people doing? Like, what is it? What are those differences? So, so I'll talk a bit about my research. So that's what I want to identify. So what are people doing? So those teachers who seem resilient, they seem strong. What are they doing differently than maybe those who aren't doing as well? So no, absolutely, it's interesting, yeah. So it can apply to individuals, it can apply to organizations like the university, it can apply to communities. So again, it's important to understand, what are those resources? So what are people doing? Because if you can't identify them, so again, that very simple exercise, well, I thought it was simple, that exercise we did about your perfect day. If I know that, okay, going to the beach. Okay, I know that. Why did I think about that? Why did I think that would be a perfect day? Which isn't a perfect day for me, by the way. But what if that was my perfect day? Then I know, okay, there's something to that. So is it the beach? Is it just about relaxing? Is it about feeling peaceful? Is it the water? Like, what is it? So it's important for us to understand. So, for our friend online, so maybe we can email them this later. Sorry, you go.
Héctor, ¿puedes subir el documento de Word en el chat para quien se tenga?
Dr. Michael Ungar, who is from my city, but also while he was working here, these are the 12 resources. I'm not going to talk about all 12, but these are some of the things that he said that, and then the second line are questions you can ask yourself to help you help you better identify what that means to you. Okay. And I won't go over all of these, but I'll share my email, and if you wanted more information on any one of those, I can share it with you, but we'll talk about a few of them for sure. I'll give you a second to have a look. So we'll just talk about a couple of these now. So the first one is this idea of structure. So it's when we're under stress, particularly when we're under stress, we do better when we have a structure or a routine. And there's a lot written about this. So for example, just think about maybe, and it applies to the workplace. So maybe something is happening in the workplace, or you have something to do in the workplace, but you don't know the policy on this. I don't know the rules. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. What's the right thing to do? How does that make you feel? You're probably feeling stressed just thinking about it, right? Because we can identify that. It's like, oh no, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. So this is this idea of structure. If you have some sort of structure to your day, so some people have a routine. So like, I have to go to the gym every day. If I don't feel good, right? I have to meditate every morning. If I don't, my whole day is ruined. It could be walking the dog. So you're having a stressful day, but I know I have to get home to do this. Those things help us strong. It's things like rituals as well. So rituals like every Thursday I meet my friends and we go dancing. Every Sunday I see my family and we eat together. So those things, when you're under stress, it's something to look forward to. Two, it gives you more of a bigger sense of purpose than just maybe those things, as maybe it's work, maybe it's life, those things that are causing the stress. Does that make sense? So yeah, so it's this idea of and it's bigger than that too. So part of it is identity as well. So it ties into your identity. So if you have if people are counting on you, maybe you it's like, oh, I'm feeling stressed, I don't want to, but my friends are counting on me to show up to play this game or something. Or my family's counting on me to be there, and it also gives you a sense of sort of history too. If, every time it's somebody's birthday, we always do this. Does that make sense? Or every holiday, we always eat this certain thing or do that. So that helps us kind of stay grounded and give strength. Does that make sense? So some form of structure. So even if it's structure you put on yourself, if you say, okay, I'm going to get up every morning, I'm going to do this, this, and this. Again, you don't want to be too structured, but having that structure when the world is chaotic, when you have that structure, it helps you kind of stay strong and keep your mind clear. Relationships, so all kinds of relationships, right? So do you have somebody you can have fun with? Do you have somebody you can share secrets with? Do you have somebody that you can be vulnerable with? And so I think the important thing here, as far as a resource goes, is one, it's not likely that's all going to be the same person. So do you have, maybe it is, but are there people in your lives, whether professional or personal, that fulfill these different roles? Right? So maybe Christian and I are friends, and we talk about deep topics. We talk about, psychology and philosophy, and it's deep and it feels good afterwards. Maybe it's not so much fun, but it feels it feels good, it feels good. But then maybe I have another friend, we just go out and have a beer and laugh and talk about dumb things. Nothing too serious. So that's the point, is understanding what fulfills you, and having relationships that you can get those, whatever it is you need, those certain pieces. Make sense? Because relationships, while they are a resource, they can also drain on our resilience as well, as we know, right? Yeah, let's talk about two more of these. So what are your thoughts so far on those two, structure or relationships? What are you thinking is?
Getting like or sharing different moments with different people. Because like you said, some people you don't go too deep in the conversation, but all you do all the time,
Yeah, sure, yeah,
then you get bored or
sure.
it's not so good to be drinking and dancing
Mhm.
and jumping. But also if you go to the other extreme where you're always talking about how the world was created.
Yes, yes, yes.
Then you go to the other one.
Yes, it's too much.
And that's what I try to do. I call it like I play. It's different in Spanish, but
Yes, yes.
play people in their roles.
Mhm. Yeah, sure. No, it's okay.
But
No, it's okay.
they're some things. I have friends and they're not in the academic. They don't know if I talk to them about teaching and languages, they don't know.
Yes, yes.
So they're only friends to have fun and laugh
Mhm,
and talk
exactly.
about the last trend on like the clothing line and whatever.
Yes, sure.
But
Yeah.
then I have other people that I know I can talk about something like deeper and philosophy, talk
Sure.
about human beings. So I think it's good to have these different spaces because some people they get too serious all the time.
Yes, yeah.
And I mean like relax and you don't have to because you're a teacher in the university, you're gonna be like super tight all the time. You can be professional, but you can also have fun. So, but on the other extreme is some people they just wanna have fun all the time. So
Sure.
find balance and I think that works for you. So
Yes,
that's what
sure.
you said.
Good.
Some people give you different things.
Yeah, good. Yeah. There's a great book. The author, Tom Rath is the author. It's called Vital Friends. That in the book is about just doing what you said. It's almost analyzing the people in your life. And so what am I getting from this person, or what is this relationship like? And then what is this one like? And it's good. And it seems like maybe a bit cold to analyze your friends, but it's no, I understand. But the book does this too. And I love the book. That's it. Exactly. Yeah.
them away. And
Exactly.
that there are certain ways.
Exactly. Perfect. Yeah.
I said, okay, I cannot talk about something.
Perfect. Yeah.
But she's good for other things. So it's
Exactly. No, that's it. But that's, yes, exactly. That's it. Right. Because it's like that can cause conflict. So if you're my fun friend, but I had a bad day at work and I want to talk to you about it. And I try talking to you about it and you're like, oh yeah, that's good. Let's go. Let's go to the wherever restaurant. And I'm like, wow, that's so insensitive. Why didn't you listen to? Well, because that's not our relationship. So so I think it's great to do that. And that book is very good to help you do that. And so then you can see, and you can also see what are you missing. So maybe you work in a university, it's sometimes very serious. You can say, wow, I don't have any fun friends. I don't have anybody I can just go and whatever, talk about things with. So maybe I need that, right? Maybe you don't, but maybe you do. Good. Okay. Yeah. So I think, yeah, it's if you wrote it down, Vital Friends, Tom Rath, it's great. So we'll talk about identity. So this idea of identity, so knowing who you are and being comfortable with who you are and exploring that and knowing that identity can change. So there's a great strength that comes with knowing who you are, being okay with it, and practicing that, whatever it means, and finding a community of others who share the same values or beliefs. So this is very important because it's oftentimes we might tie our identity to our job, right? Because oftentimes, at least in Canada, you say, tell me about yourself. And you'll say your name, and then you say what you do for work, right? That's probably the same here. But in Canada, that's how it is. So tell me about yourself. You don't say I'm a happy person. I like cooking. You say, who are you? Well, I'm Scott, I'm a professor. So oftentimes we tie our identity to things like that. So, or whatever it may be. It could be other roles. It could be mother, father, partner, parent, whatever. We tie ourselves to certain roles. So then, which is okay, until something changes. And then we're like, now who am I? So maybe you tie yourself to a role in a relationship, like in like a partnership or a marriage or something. And then something happens, it's like, oh, okay, so now who am I? Now what do I do? So we go through this, it's called identity moratorium, which means you're kind of lost again. You're just like, now you're looking, okay, now what do I do? Everything's changed. Or maybe when you're 18 years old, you say, I want to be a professor. I want to be a professor. And then you spend all your time in school to become a professor. You're now 30 and you say, oh my God, what have I done? Like, what have I done? I don't want to do this. This isn't what I want. So now what? Because you've tied your whole identity to this thing, and now you're like, now what do I do? So, and it can be with parents as well. So as a parent, your children grow up, they move out of the house, and now your role as a parent looks different, right? Still a parent, but it's different than it used to be. So now what? So there's a lot of times in our lives where our identity can be challenged. And so another part of that too is it's called identity foreclosure, which means oftentimes when we're growing up, our identity will be placed upon us. So you believe this, you must do this. This is who you are because you're from this community, you're from this religion. So you'll see sometimes people might identify, maybe if there's like a certain, I don't know, it often comes up like with religion. Sometimes if people have a diagnosis of maybe like a certain disability or then they'll identify primarily with that, where there's many other aspects. to that person's identity. So yeah, so it's just something for us to pay attention to. So to examine who are we, what do we believe? Do I really believe maybe everything that I grew up with? Because especially with students, right? That like first year students, they have more independence. They're going into adulthood. They're learning every day. They're around different people. So you'll see it in students, and I know you do, how their identity changes because they're now have this opportunity to challenge beliefs and values that maybe they've grown up with. What do you think about that?
Part of the, like being the university for us,
Mhm.
like when I was an undergrad student and for our students, is to discover and go through
Yes.
this path. It's not only the content and the academic.
Exactly, yeah.
It's a space where they are also going through that identity, like
Yeah.
discover, and they want to learn how to be adults, and it's one of the most important things they come to do in the university.
Mhm, mhm.
So that's what I
Absolutely.
like one of the goals in life.
Sure, it is.
It's
Absolutely.
not about
Yeah,
like how no, I think it's deeper than that.
it is, yeah.
Students, this is the space where
Mhm.
they have the opportunity to grow as persons. Like to me, when I started here, my
Okay.
and I remember I was one person when I started, and I was a different person. when
Yes,
I
yeah.
graduated.
Yeah, good, absolutely, yeah. And it's so the research around this supports that the biggest gains is in post-secondary education. So one of the other things that I do is I help train like foster parents, you know, that are like so far in Nova Scotia. So people who are like looking after kids who are in the care of the state, of the province. And so recognizing the fact that post-secondary is the best for, you know, just from even from an identity point of view. So what happens with maybe kids, some of the kids who are in the system may not have that opportunity, maybe because of different diagnosis or something, right? Or different circumstances. So what do you do to help them? Right? Like, so what do you do to help if there's somebody who just doesn't, who it's just not a reasonable option for many reasons, maybe economic, maybe intellectual, whatever. There's different reasons. So how can you help them? So that's something that we talk about. And really it's about just exposure to different ideas and different things. And because you don't know what you don't know, right? Especially if you're told this is who you are and this is what you believe and this is, if you don't know, then you can just never get to that point, like you said, that point of fulfillment and being who you are. So so again, from the point of resilience, this is considered a strength to get to that point of identity fulfillment and be okay with it and be comfortable there. So if you're not, it's from a resource point of view, it's about trying it and being okay and being open. Were you thinking something? No, we're good. What do you think?
Students.
Sorry.
are-
Sign language interpreters here. I can't hear what she's saying, so I cannot interpret. Can somebody please speak up?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Oh, yes. Sure, yes, yeah.
For them, that teachers can help
Yes,
to grow not only in their personality,
Yes.
their life, also academic.
yes, absolutely.
So here the teachers is a very important goal.
Mm-hmm.
Teachers to have that.
Yes,
So there are teachers- Hey, sometimes there was a discussion about what teachers can do or have to do in the university,
yes,
educate or also form.
yes, exactly, yeah. It's very, yeah, and it can be very difficult too. Yeah, very, yeah. Good, thank you. Yeah, and I'm gonna talk about that in about a minute. That's that same point. So look, just kind of the last resource we'll talk about, and then I'll just share a little bit about the research that I'm doing because it's about us. So just this idea of physical well-being. So just our physical health. And just so what are the benefits and the resources that come from, again, paying attention to that, because it's about being as, so one is the activity side as you're able to. Everybody has different levels of activity that they can do and are able to do. So it's so yeah, so how does that benefit us? Well, so it's things like part of it is social. So we talk about relationships. So maybe you go for a walk with your friend, maybe you go for a walk with your dog, and that's fulfilling. That's all you need. It's about setting goals and accomplishing, right? So maybe I like yoga. So maybe I go to yoga today and I notice 6 months from now, oh, I can actually stand on one foot now. I couldn't do that 6 months ago. So it's about achieving things and accomplishing things. So then that gives us strength, right? And contributes to our identity as well. But we also know that things like if we're sick, then that can affect our stress. You start worrying, oh, I'm missing work, or I can't do this, or I can't do that because I'm sick. So then that starts affecting our health. So then what do you do, right? If we know it's important. So Christian made the point yesterday, it was a good point. So this is why when you look at having 12 resources, so maybe these three aren't working for me right now. That's okay. We still have these other 9. So what are we doing with these other ones? So it's not that we can fulfill all 12 all the time. It's about knowing that there's many. So maybe, again, maybe a person is sick, or maybe you're very sick. Maybe you get bad news. But then there's these other ones we can draw off of. Does that make sense? So that's why we look at all 12, because sometimes this one will work and sometimes this one will work. The other part is, I guess I'll mention about physical well-being as well, is just our our nervous system as well. So our so we take in, there's a lot of stimuli. Like we noticed today, coming in, like as soon as you come in from that gate, it's a whole new world, right? Like you're out there and it's just, then you walk through, it's like, because then your nervous system is actually relaxing. It's like, okay, this is a safe place. This is calm and peaceful. So when our nervous system is under all of this pressure all day long, it's signaling our unconscious brain that maybe something's wrong, or I have to pay attention to this. If you're in a busy street or public transit, and I got to pay attention to things. So it's about making that time to relax. So whether it's just in whatever ways comfortable for people, they say like meditation, or maybe just sitting with a book, or listening to something, or not listening to anything and looking at a beautiful painting, maybe that's what you need. But we need to, because we're often so busy and so life is demanding that we don't always take that time. So it's not just about exercising, it's about our nervous system.
Has to raise our voice.
Okay, sure.
So
Okay.
that they can press
Yes, certainly. Okay.
So I really enjoy taking time to do those things. And my son makes fun of me, but in a good way. And he tells me like, Mom, stop smoking those things. Because I told him like, okay, I need to meditate. Then I'm like, I'm going to yoga. And he makes fun of me because sometimes I say, I don't want to talk.
Yes, sure.
But I think it's important because sometimes, like you said before, we go in like automatic.
Oh, sure, yeah.
The routine, too much structure.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to like stop and take a moment and
Mhm.
find, like you said, the resources that work for us.
Yeah.
And it's gonna help. Not, I don't know if it's gonna make us succeed, but it's gonna help with the process.
Yeah, so exactly. So in some ways it like, and that's a good point, because sometimes it may not make us resilient, but I think what it does is not taking away from other things. Do you see what I mean? So so if you have the glass is full. So then resilience, or when we're under stress, it's coming down, coming down, coming down. So it may not build it back up, but it will keep it here. Does that make sense? It's not going to make it go down anymore. Good. Yeah, good. So make sure loud enough for the people online. Yes. What are you thinking? I think we might need the mic we'll wait for Christian. That's okay. Maybe if we could is the mic still good, or I can use this one?
Yours is very good. The other
It's not working so well. Okay, let's see if we can make this work.
Someday I was in a lecture, and the lecturer told us the importance of the pedagogical silence.
Okay, yes.
Yes, for example, we as teachers never shut out. Yes, never shut out in class, never. All the time we are speaking and speaking and speaking and explaining something. But he told us it is important for us to shut up for the moments in class. Yes, in order we have the right to be silent, to think, to analyze things. And it is something that the general, for example, I almost never do that. So it is important to take into account.
Interesting. Yeah, that's excellent. Yeah, I've never heard that expression, but I like it a lot. Yeah. And it's like my background is psychology. And so that's something you get that you teach in counseling. So is that we call it use of silence, but it's the same thing. So particularly, so you're speaking with somebody and maybe they're more like I'm a strong extrovert. I think a lot of people who get into teaching have some extroversion, like you're out there, right? You talk a lot. But yeah, so particularly if somebody is under stress, they're more introverted, which means maybe they need more time to think about something before responding. But yeah, so as we teach this in counseling, it's the same thing. So you ask a question and you just sit. And I don't have a pen with me, I don't think. But I often, may I borrow that for a second? So what I do, so with counseling or anything like that, I do that. Like, so I'll say, oh, tell me about your childhood or something, right? And then what I do is, oops, I spelled it wrong. So what I do is on my notes, shut up. That's for myself. I put that on, I'll just go, or if I feel the urge, like if a student is really sort of struggling to answer and I'm like, I want to say that, and I'll just go over and like, as a reminder to myself to just like use that silence, like you said. Yeah, that's excellent. That's excellent. Because it's important, right? Because so when in like personality psychology, you look at like extroversion and introversion, those terms. So extroverts, one of the things with extroverts is like to talk while they think. So you'll like talk out a problem, whereas introverts think first, then talk. So even with, students, if they're doing group work, who the extroverts are right away because they're leading the conversation. And sometimes if it's not done in a caring way, then the introverts can get left behind. They don't have that opportunity to contribute as much. Yeah, good. Awesome. So we'll just maybe go about another maybe just about another 5 or 10 minutes, and I'll share with you the research that I'm doing because and I would really be interested in your thoughts and ideas because I'm not even halfway done yet. So right now, yeah, and so I'd be interested in some of your thoughts. So, yeah, so I'm looking at resilience of faculty, so teaching faculty at the Nova Scotia Community College, so the big public institution that I work at. So last fall, I interviewed 26 people. Interviews were about, I don't know, about 90 minutes, 60 to 90 minutes each one. So it's the institution, again, it's spread over our whole province. So it was a good experience for me. So I got to, drive and see different campuses and meet people, and they would show me where they worked. So in order to qualify, they had to be a full-time continuing, which means so you not adjunct, not casual part-time. You had to be full-time, be finished probation. So there's that security, right? It's like, okay, I'm here now. So full-time continuing. I don't know what term you use here, but to be similar to like tenure, if you have that, like you're permanent.
Yeah, I would say it's very near.
10, yeah, okay, so it'd be similar to that, like you're kind of you're in, like yeah, and currently be teaching, so maybe not like maybe your position is, but you're doing administrative role or something like that, so you had to be in the classroom teaching. So that's those were the participants, and that was intentional because, as we know, like your first few years teaching, it's a different job. And if you're adjunct, if you're there's a different relationship and a different sense of security with the students and with the institution and with everything. Does that make sense? I'm assuming it's the same here. So yeah, so this is why. And then plus, if everybody is at that same level, then your salary is about the same, everything is about the same. So I wanted that. So yeah, I interviewed 26 people. It was great. So part of it was, we don't need to get into all that, but part of it was there is a measurement, there is a psychological assessment to see how resilient somebody is in the last month. So it's a Davison scale, and it's yeah, so it's like a psychological assessment, which then gives you a number of how resilient you've been in the last month. So the average, the mean for everybody who's done this is the most popular one of these that's in research, the Connor Davis. 40. 40 is the maximum. So that's good. That's pretty good. So for everybody who's done this in the world, who has submitted to this company, it's 31.8. So with my group, it was 35. So they were more resilient than the average person. So, and it can go deeper with that, but I found that interesting. Then I have my, I guess, my thoughts as to why, but what do you think? Why would that be? And probably if I did it here, it would be the same thing, I'm guessing. What do you think that might be?
The microphone.
Oh, yes, of course. Sorry. Yes. Sorry.
I guess one of the factors is the criteria that you used for the people involved, meaning the security that they have regarding their job. That gives you, I guess, some sort of I don't know, peace, that ultimately contributes to your resilience capacity. I would say that might be one of the factors, but not the ultimate one.
Yes, good. I agree with you.
What about you guys?
Could it be that teachers tend to know how to overcome situations? Maybe, I don't know.
The profession.
Yeah. What do you think?
Sorry.
I think give the students the opportunity to be resilient, to they and know about they are able to.
Yes.
Yes, give the opportunity. And for example, in class, not I say or I tell all the time that an exam, for example, is not an exam. It's just not for a grade, but for learning. Yes, so I think it allows them to be more resilient with their learning.
Good, yes, good, yes, good. So, yeah, so I think it's, yeah, I think it's all of those things. And I think with our system, and I don't know if it's the same with this system, but oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes before you get hired permanently, you've spent several years, you know, maybe adjunct, working here, working there. Maybe you work for one semester and you don't know if you're coming back next semester or 1 year. Like, so before getting that permanent position, most people, I'll say most, yeah, definitely most people spend a few years kind of building up to that. So my belief, I haven't proven anything yet, but my belief is that those who stay and last have learned to use certain resources or have built up certain resources. So just like you say, so I haven't, and part of it, I will get information if they'll give it to me from the college, like how many people leave. So how many people do you hire adjunct, part-time, casual, who leave and don't move on to permanent? Because that's kind of what my belief is those who have made it to that point have learned, or maybe they've had resources with them already. Does that make sense? It's almost like a survival of the fittest almost, right? Like a natural selection. It's like, okay, some people, we're losing some people, but the people coming are going to be stronger. And I don't know if that's true or not, but that's kind of what I'm believing. Yeah, that's right. Of course. Yeah, that's what I'm believing. But it's also interesting too, that so in the study, and I haven't analyzed this part yet, but it's looking at the differences between like departments. So the lowest is actually in health and like human service, like where I work. So like
Silent interpreter speaking. What
nursing,
departments you referring to?
is that they're scoring the lowest. So I don't know if that's, and then just above that is education and languages. And I think in part, and like the most resilient are like business, engineering. So that could be, I think, and you tell me what you think, could be because of socialization. So in health and educate, we talk about it more, right? We talk about things like, you know, like feelings or maybe emotions or these sorts of things, whereas maybe in business and engineering, it's a different culture. So that's what I'm thinking. So the other part of this was interview people. So I looked at all of these and kind of asked some questions about different resources and what they do. And then we just had a discussion. It's like, tell me whatever, tell me anything that you want to tell me about resiliency. So all of that was documented. Oops. And then so I'm using do you know NVivo? It's like a software for using NVivo just to analyze that and draw out some themes. So so themes that have emerged so far is this idea of emotional regulation. Do you know this term? So it's, and you had mentioned it, so in a different way. So it's about having to have control of your emotions. And so the people who I've interviewed acknowledge it and tend to be good at it. So like you say, if your day is you're dealing with traffic, maybe you have an argument with your partner, you spill coffee on yourself, and then you have to walk into the room. It's like, I have to leave all of that there. I can't bring that in here with me. So emotional regulation. So again, that may be something people learn during those years before becoming permanent. Another one is this idea of control in the classroom. So maybe you don't like, what the director has to say, or you don't like this new policy, or you don't like things that are happening in the university. But when I'm in the classroom, this is mine. I have control here. So as a resilience resource, that's important because if people feel that way, then you can deal with some of these other things because this is going to be fulfilling to me. Third one is there's a lot of people that were interviewed to talk about this sort of the positivity and almost a positive sense of self. So people who get into this work often have something they want to share with others, or they feel that they can help people. And so because of that thinking, so even if maybe you're teaching in, I don't know, say engineering, you must think you're a pretty good engineer if you want to go teach others. So a lot of these ways of positive thinking are connected to people who teach. You already know how to do it in some form. Again, it doesn't apply to everybody, but in some form you have that mechanism, that method to be able to do that. And the last one, which is I find really interesting, is this idea of a role model. You know that term? So there's two things to that. One is being a role model. So, and you've mentioned it as well. So this idea that I get strength out of, like, there may be parts of my life that I don't feel fulfilled, or I don't feel I'm doing so great at. But when I'm here, I can demonstrate things that I think will help others, right? So like you say, not bringing in things, from not bringing in my personal life, like trying to demonstrate good manners and being a good citizen and all of these things. And then the other part of that, which I find really interesting, is people who have been scoring higher have had a role model of resilience. So they'll say, when I'm going through a really tough time, I hear my grandmother's voice. Or my grandmother was very strong. I just think, what would she do in this situation? Or maybe it was a teacher, or maybe it was somebody from their life. Like, I would just think, like, what would they do in this situation? So they had somebody they can think about, which then helps keep them strong, which I think is quite interesting. What do you think of that? It's my last question for you. What do you think of that? Can you see some of these things just in your own work as far as maybe helping? Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. So my apologies. Okay. She said absolutely. Okay. Yeah. So again, it's the point, if we can identify these things, and again, it's this way of thinking. So this idea of control in your work. So even if, because again, as faculty, teaching is this much of our job. Then we're administrators, we're psychologists, we're researchers, we're maybe the police sometimes. We're like all of these things, right? And so it's about knowing, okay, so even if some of this isn't as fulfilling, or this is drawing on my resources, maybe this part of it, when I'm working with students, or it could be research that's fulfilling to you, but when I'm doing this and I have control here in this part, then that's what's going to help me. Okay. All right. So thank you all very much. So yeah, we'll share the slides and share this, and my contact information. Christian, if you want more information, like even just to share with your students or something, then you can tell me. Our online guests, then the same. Just we can share all of these things with you as well. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Oh yes, of course. Sorry.
That is great. Well, first of all, thank you, Scott, for sharing with us both yesterday and today. I think both sessions have been very interesting. I got some questions. I like to make questions. We're all teachers. And Edith, if you are also there and you have a question or a comment, feel free to do so too. I really like the 12 resources that you mentioned. For instance, I really like this handout that we have. They'll have very good prompts for us to have some thinking, right? Our way to have that realization of the structure, consequences, relationships, and so forth and so forth, right? Is there any other strategy to have that realization or to encourage others to know that they have these sort of resources?
Sorry. So a way to, I mean, honestly, I think it's, so I think it's about, so a way to encourage people to kind of look at their own resources. Is that what I understand, or to know them, or?
It's more about the exercise.
Okay.
Like prompts.
Oh, yes, okay. So, I mean, yeah, I think it's, and I'm not sure if I completely understand the question, but it's, so I think it's about, so the way that I practice it and the way that I believe it. So if you look at some of these things, so when I look at things like, I think it's about people being open and understanding that there's no one way, if that makes sense. So oftentimes when people talk about resilience, you hear things like meditation. Oh, you have to meditate, or you have to whatever, exercise. You have to do all of these things. And I think sometimes that that's a barrier for people. And so, and I'm not sure if I'm answering your question about being open for people to know there's no one way of doing things. So in my interviews, it's well documented that things like mindfulness and meditation is very important, just so we can get into that quiet place. But when speaking with people in interviews, some people would say, like, I like to play music. I like to play the piano, and I don't think about anything, and I'm focused. That's meditation. That's a form of meditation. I like to clean my place, and when I clean, I love it. I feel good, and nobody bothers me, and I'm focused. And that's a form of meditation. So I think when people look at these things, like, no, there isn't any. There's hundreds of answers for everyone. Yeah, I don't know if I was answering your question or not, but it's about being open-minded. Yes, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And that's good, because that was another question that I had. Many times people find resilience similar to mindfulness, meditation, all that. I just wanted to know is differences. Yeah, there. But actually what I meant is that for some people, it takes them a while to get to know their own resources, right? What they are missing is that bridge, that strategy. Is for some people, it might be easier having an interview, a chat, like what you did on your research with the faculty staff. But for some others, well, based on our experience here, might be just easier, for example, to have these prompts. Like, if you get me, and we talk about structure, it would have a different meaning, perhaps. But when I read the prompt, then I'm getting closer to what the resource is all about. So I was thinking maybe if there is any other way to bridge the or to help others to get to know their own resources, such as graphic organizers, or maybe something on literature that you have read, or maybe that Dr. Michael has.
I'll share a resource with you.
Mhm.
I don't think it will show on the screen. There's a very good and it's good for teaching. I don't think that'll show up, but oh, I'm sorry. But I'll share the link, and the folks who are here, I can just show you on my laptop. But for the person online, then we can share the link. So it's called therapistaid.com, and it's a psychology sort of, but it's free. So things like, and these are good. I mean, they're good. They're simple a lot of worksheets. So this is something like my early memories, and it's a worksheet that you can use as an activity in your class. So to get people thinking about
Thinking routine.
exactly, yeah. So it's called therapistaid.com, and I'll share the link. Yeah, it is. Yeah. So things around body image, thinking, relationship. There's some mindful things there. Things around like body image and how people view themselves. So beliefs around money, mindfulness. So they're very good, very simple. I use them with my students all the time as a way of, because particularly with social services, teaching students in social services, because if you're going into an area to help other people, you need to know, how is this going to affect me, right? So we spend a lot of time on this. But these are also good, again, for because they're simple, and students have to write and think. So I would suggest doing, like, if a person sat down with these, you're probably not going to know all of the answers right away, but just exploring different things, love language. There's hundreds and hundreds of them. Yeah, thoughts, avoidance. Yes, anyway, so I'll share that with you. So yeah, I would suggest those sorts of things. You just do them for yourself, do them with students, whatever. It will help you kind of identify those much like that exercise we did earlier, just like, why did I say that I like, whatever, being on the beach, reading a book. That's what I mean. Why would that be the best day of my life? What is it about that? So just causing that reflection to think about things. Yeah, very good. Good. Well, thank you. I won't take any more of your time. Thank you very much. This is nice. Yes, yeah. Yes, sure, certainly, yeah. Pardon me? No, we're going back to Nova Scotia. Oh, it'll be a while. Maybe when I come back, I'll keep practicing Spanish, and maybe I can do it bilingual next time, but in a year or two. Absolutely, yeah, we'll keep in touch. Yes, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So no, that's wonderful. Yeah, thank you very much.
Perhaps teacher, if you'd like to say something.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, of course.
Okay.
Oh, of course. Yes. Sorry. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Marta.
So yeah, teacher Edith, if you wanna say something, you could say it either, you could say it, I can translate into English. Lo puedes decir en español y yo lo puedo traducir en inglés.
Sí, creo que están solucionando el problema con el audio. No sé si me están escuchando ahora.
Te escuchamos perfectamente.
Okay. Bueno, thank you for the space, and it really is interesting. Yes, and thank you for your experience. But I also want to thank Diana.
Santiago, te dejamos. We just lost you.
Hello,
Santiago.
Now it's okay.
Now we can hear you.
Okay, thanks. And I also want to thank Diana. Diana is now go and who today joining in coordination with the Faculty of Language, yes, in Universidad de Antioquia, and support with us with the interpretation service from English to ASL, but she now go and really thanks and bueno, para todos y todas, gracias por el espacio, y a ti, profesor, doctor, gracias por este escenario. Gracias.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Edith and Santiago and everyone there, we really appreciate it. Esperamos que haya sido también una sesión muy gratificante para ustedes, valiosa. We certainly hope that has been a very insightful session. And as Scott mentioned, como dijo Scott, él estará compartiendo el material, la investigación con todos nosotros. He will be sharing all this material and the with us so we can have it. Thank you very much once again. Have a very good weekend. A todos y a todas, feliz fin de semana. Gracias nuevamente.
Thank you. It's nice to meet you.